attacks on Watson. It feels like justice, and this what Nick Chubb sees. DJ, Nick Chubb just runs and runs, but nothing works. He can't get away from DJ. Now, Daddy OG and Puppet Master John, the #1 Bengals podcast.
That's us.
That is us, John. It is. Thank you again for the song.
A couple
Oh, again?
Well,
Okay.
it was very
It was
good.
great. I don't mind
It was
listening to
great.
again.
Yeah. Welcome to the #1 Bengals podcast. I'm your host, Eddie McDuke. I'm joined as always by John the Brain Sheeran. And we are on the roll, like the Cincinnati Bengals, who have won, what, John, 4 or 5 games in a row? I've lost track.
It's weird, though, because the better the team is, the less we have on the show. We're slowly dying off. I don't know. I haven't heard from either of the other two in days, hours, minutes. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I believe they are being poached by other podcasts, by other shows, and it is really out of our hands. But I will say this, John. The Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow finally, it's like Joe Burrow is this beautiful rooster, with his beautiful orange feathers. And he was trying to wrestle this muddy, disgusting pig in the Cleveland Browns for all these years. And he has struggled to do so. And finally, he figured out how to peck his way out of there, which was
It's
great
crazy because
relief.
they have a disgusting pig at quarterback now, not the Bengals, the other team.
Yes. Well, I will say we had the most disgusting pig in Ben Roethlisberger for many years. And Joe Burrow was able to slay him as well. So, really, John, let's talk about what went right against the Cleveland Browns. Because what I saw was early on, there was a little bit of confusion. I think they lost a lot of guys very quickly. I think T. Higgins, supposedly, they expected to have. He was not there. It was a big part of the game plan, as always. And then they lost Tyler Boyd very early, right? And then they were triple teaming, let's say, Jamar Chase. And so I think that the offense was a little... Oh, and then also the defensive line, as always, is getting that big push up front, was getting their hands, getting the balls batted. And the Bengals were a little bit off their game. But then, John, really, I think late in the first half and then early in the second half, Zach Taylor's play calling kind of carried the game.
I think
John.
It says something that even after, a handful of drives, the fact that you have Trent Taylor and Trent Irwin in there, and eventually the offense gets to a point where nothing really skips a beat. Now, obviously, not scoring in the first, 4 drives. It was a really ugly start to the game in general. It felt like there's a lot of animosity. There was just boos out of the wazoo in that crowd for the Browns quarterback. It just seemed like a really mad atmosphere, and maybe that just translated into the game. And it could have gotten ugly, like many Bengals-Browns games have been in the past. After going 3-and-out in that first drive, Deshaun Watson, his first 2 completions go for first downs, and Nick Chubb's only success of the day really came on that first drive, but the Browns couldn't finish. The Bengals defense holds them on 4th down. They had this tremendously weird play call where it's a deep shot with Jacoby Brissett, not Deshaun Watson, trying to throw it into the end zone just to get a yard, and the Browns don't score, and the game is scoreless after the first quarter. So the game doesn't get away from the Bengals at that point. They find their footing offensively. They find some sort of rhythm. Joe Burrow makes some plays under pressure. He completes 14 of his final 21 passes, and he still has a decent day without 2 of his best receivers. And like you said, Jamar Chase got a ton of attention because T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd weren't out there, and he still goes for 10 catches, 120 yards against the secondary that wanted nothing to do with him having that kind of success based off what they said about him in the offseason. So Chase really stepped up.
Yeah.
Burrow had a gritty type game. The run blocking eventually got to the point where it should have been against that Browns defensive line. But the title of that song that I sang is called Erase Me. And I feel like Kid Cudi sang that about Nick Chubb because he was completely erased from this game. Shout out to DJ Reader for that.
Yeah, well, there was a lot there, a lot to unpack, if you will, John. But I want to just real quickly, I want to talk about Jamar Chase. Yes, they were triple teaming him, but the way that the Bengals were utilizing him and the chemistry he has with Joe Burrow, we talk about it a lot on the big plays. But John, it was like every single time Joe Burrow needed 7 yards, 10 yards, right? It's just these shorts, little, I don't know what they are, dig routes or little curls or little, right? And it's just like, the ball is exactly where Jamar needs it. It's exactly beyond the reach of the defender, right? And he just extends his arms a little bit and he's on the sideline making these, 8, 10-yard grabs over and over and over again. And it added up to whatever, 100-something yards on 10 catches.
And sometimes it's not even where Jamar expects it, and it's right
Exactly.
where it needs to be. Like, he didn't know that pass was coming to him in the end zone because, like, we talk about how coverages sometimes confuse quarterbacks from the pre-snap to the post-snap. Well, Jamar Chase saw what the Browns were doing defensively before the snap, and the route that he was going to run, he didn't expect the ball to come his way based off where the safeties were, but the safeties rotated at the last second. Burrow saw this. He saw that there was some minuscule type window. It's about the size of the circle I'm making on the screen right here, and he was able to fire that ball in right when he needed to. And Jamar Chase, that, you know what, I'll just turn it back around, see what's happening in the play. Next thing you know, the ball's right in his hands. It was a 20-yard handoff in the smallest windows possible. It was insane.
Let's take a quick look at that play.
15-yard line going in. Burrow to the end zone. Touchdown!
And yeah, it's exactly as you described, John. It was about as small of a window as you can imagine. And Burrow knew right away where he was going, but like you said, Jamar didn't seem to be expecting the ball. Or maybe one of Jamar's talents is not showing the play until the very last second. Maybe he was just being very sneaky. I don't know. But yeah, that might be my top Burrow pass this year. And that's saying a lot. That was an amazing pass. But
we just talked last week about that small window throw, and he topped it a week later.
I think this was better than that. I mean, that one obviously was to win the game. But, John, you mentioned other players getting involved. And obviously, who can forget this amazing call by Zach Taylor and amazing execution by the entire team. That was amazing. And that was, of course, to Trenton Irwin. And here's the thing. I don't even know if the play was the best part there. Because do you remember what he did afterwards?
I do. Yeah, let's see it.
That was amazing. The little jig. He's so happy. He's so happy, John. They should let him get all the touchdowns.
Well, he should be, because he's Trent Irwin, and there's no reason why he should, of all people, he should
be torching the Browns secondary. Like, yeah, I mean, there wasn't a defender within 10 yards of the man. It was amazing.
A huge mistake. We know what Trent Irwin's capable of now. I guess the Browns didn't.
Yeah, I think, though, John, I think the Bengals are doing really a good job of selling the run on a lot of these plays, and then selling the pass on other plays. Let me show you this run that I saw of Joe Mixon that I really liked, where you can see even the blocking, the pass blocking, the receivers, everybody sells pass very convincingly. And Joe Burrow has a very delayed handoff, and it's super effective. And I just feel like the play calling and the execution is at its peak.
And it really concerned me this game because early on, they weren't generating a lot of movement up the middle against that Browns defensive line. And they have just abysmal defensive tackle play. And that should have been like this mismatch that should have been exploited early on. So the fact that as the game went on, you had plays like that where they were generating movement up the middle to allow plays like that. It really took Joe Mixon, I think, 2 quarters to really get into his groove and break off some of those big runs. But as soon as that happened, as they were starting to give him more space to make those plays, you really started to see him run harder than he's run in a long time. I know we just had that Panthers game a few weeks ago, but you have to remember early in Joe Mixon's career, his best games came against the Cleveland Browns defense. And for whatever reason, this offensive line hasn't been able to dominate like they should against this Browns defensive line. But that wasn't the case today. Like, Myles Garrett had some plays here and there, but they the Bengals really exposed a weak point of the Bengals or the Browns defensive line.
But I think their communication and their ability to pass off pass rushers has really, really, it's really developed. You know, last week against Chris Jones, right? When they were just passing him off to this guy and that guy, right? They were passing him around like he's some sort of, I don't know, some sort of cheap pizza, right? And I think, John, we know that these guys can't handle a Chris Jones one-on-one. They can't handle a Myles Garrett, but they, as a team, they can. This team is capable now of handling those type of guys. And look, John, I want to bring something up. It's a little off topic, but it was one of the questions we had. It's about Jermaine Pratt. Okay, this guy is one of the best defenders on our team. This guy has really taken off this year. He's had some of the best games on defense this year. And apparently he wants more third downs. John, any news you have about that?
Emphasis on apparently. Like he tweeted out, need to play on third down more or better, too much money left on the table. And this could be interpreted in multiple ways. So it seems really pointless for us to dive in to try to decipher what he's believing. But that's exactly what we're going to do because that's what the show is. So either this means that Jermaine Pratt wants to be on the field for a lot more than he is. Sometimes he does get taken off the field on third down because he's not the greatest in coverage, or that they just need to play better on third down, which is interesting to me because the Bengals, I think, stopped the Browns on third down like 4 out of 15 times. Who knows? It's week 14. This is the last year of Jermaine Pratt's contract. He's going to be a free agent this year. It stands to reason why he would want to be on the field more to make those plays to get more money, but we have no idea ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, speaking of having no idea, I want to welcome in, John, our third co-host, Mr. Hoji Electric Esmoji.
He's here?
He is here.
Yeah, I have no idea either what's going on.
You know, John,
we finally passed the Browns. The Bengals were undergoing a collective sense of constipation, and they finally passed the Brown. They passed it out, and we're beyond that stage. And this team cannot be stopped. This is a train going at 90 miles an hour. You just got to get out of the way.
Well, maybe they had too much fiber, let's say, in the locker room, and now they're passing all the Browns. And you want to slow down. You don't want to empty out your bowels of football teams. You want to save some for the postseason, right, John?
Well, hold on. If they were winners of 4 straight, right? And it was the Browns that was always the team that gave them the fits, right? They couldn't get over. It was the one thing being held over Joe Burrow's head, and the fact that they did beat them. I feel like that in itself is the laxative that they need. They really just emptied out all of their inhibitions, and now there's just nothing in the way. Everything is in the toilet bowl at this point.
Yeah. Yep. Just got this press the flush.
But John,
move on.
Look, so let us explore the reasons why the Bengals' outcome changed this time. One, I would say, and Hoji's gonna love to hear this, I think Zach Taylor has stepped it up in terms of his play calling.
Yes.
In terms of his play calling, I think that he got creative. It backfired on one play, but in general,
which play?
The creativity. The one where Jamar Chase was supposed to throw the pass, and there's like 4 Browns defenders looking at him. Like,
no, he wasn't supposed to throw. That was supposed to be a reverse, and then it was completely snuffed out. And then Chase had.
He's just standing there. Yeah, he's just standing there.
There was some confusion on the field.
Yeah, very strange play, but that's okay. I'll take that one negative play and the 5. Like Hoji, you weren't here.
No,
but obviously, one of the highlights of the game was Incredible.
Wait. Was that Steve Irwin's son?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And this was also
crocodile
him.
music.
And this was him.
Yeah.
That was him as well, yeah. But I would say, so Zach Taylor, very creative. Joe Burrow is more accurate than ever.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is on fire, and he's
What
using
about that running game?
We'll talk about the running game. But John,
what about stopping their running game?
What about the
stopping?
stopping? We talked about, But John, I want to say this. I think the time that Jamar Chase missed helped this passing game in a lot of ways. Even it helped Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase be more consistent. Because the way they were connecting against the Browns so consistently, they were not looking for the big play.
No.
I think every single play other than that touchdown was along the sidelines, John, right?
They
I mean,
killed
it was
them with
this
small cuts. They
Yeah,
did small
it was
cuts.
amazing.
It was a very surgical kind of win.
You know, it's
But-
crazy too. Like,
And it was a
Jamar
win
Chase,
that... Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, like Jamar Chase gets 10 catches, and I feel like he gets tackled maybe 4 times this game because most of the time he just ran out of bounds after evading some tackles. Like he has this uncanny ability to just shrug off guys, even if he's not even the biggest and he's not always in a position to get around these guys. Like the fact that he's able to absorb a lot of this contact and just end up just still on his feet is crazy to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
But John, but there's one other factor. We talked about DJ Reader. We talked about Joe Mixon had a great game back.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's on fire.
The
Zach
offensive
Taylor is hitting his stride. The offensive line is doing just enough, passing these guys off, like we said, like cold, dirty pizza, just passing it off. But, John, there's one other factor,
One other factor, John.
which is,
Do you know what that is, John?
I was waiting for him to tell me.
it is this.
He's threw it Cooper only 3 times.
I
So
was hoping
when
it
you
was
think
that.
when you think of John, when you think of distractions, they are real. Distractions are real. When you think of Jessica Rabbit and Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
They
when you
are
think
real
of
and they are lovely.
yeah, but I mean that's the whole thing. If you got it, what is it? You better use it. Yeah, you
Flaunt 'em
and the
if you
thing
got
is
'em. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
and that whole Browns team, and I'm not gonna name names, but they were so, what's the word? They were mesmerized, John. They were mesmerized
Yes.
by the third down guy, as he's being called,
Yeah.
and I feel like it threw the whole team off.
But more seriously,
Third down,
Daddy-O,
1D or 2Ds?
John,
that was good.
How do you spell
that was
it?
pretty good. Okay,
So
OG,
so
yeah.
can I just say, I mean, we have been dealing with and talking about the fact that this is Joe Burrow's team and it remains Joe Burrow's team and this was Joe Burrow's win. But Joe Burrow looked good in the first half. He didn't but it wasn't like the game was riding on his shoulders. And I love that. This team has become very complete. I mean, number one, the Browns made a lot of mistakes. We admit that. They had a lot of penalties. I think they had 100 yards toward the end, when I remember, of just losing for just penalties. But that aside, the Bengals were able to stay in the game as a team. And again, this goes back to Zach Taylor. You know, one thing that I heard on the news was that Zach Taylor had shown every Bengals player last week a video of how each and every one of them contributed and did something extra. That's great coaching. That is 2022 coaching.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Bill Belichick doing something like that. That's new era affirmative values coaching. This is a man who has probably studied child psychology and adult psychology,
Yeah.
Zach Taylor, and he's using it. And he's using
Well,
it.
I mean, it's funny you say
This
that.
is the
He's
greatest
also
coach in the NFL right now.
yeah,
Zach Taylor.
but he's also living child psychology.
Yes.
Zach Burrow, guys, let me just say something.
Zach Taylor.
I read a report, Zach Taylor. I read a report that 5 weeks ago, the soft part of Zach Taylor's skull finally was filled in.
Lovely.
Which means his skull is fully developed now. And coincidentally, the play calling has been amazing.
Yeah.
That is crazy, John. Did you read that? I think you
no one
wrote
read
it.
that.
Yeah,
No
I
one
think
read
John
that.
wrote that.
No
Yeah.
one read that because it's not true.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
talked
love that
about
guy.
you talked about how the offense needed to live life without Jamar Chase just to see who they were. You know, like just go away on like vacation just to really find yourself. And that's kind of what they
Yeah.
did. Well, the
Yeah.
defense had to do that with DJ Reader, and it definitely didn't help. It's the exact opposite situation because when the Bengals didn't have DJ Reader, they were one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And ever since he's been back, the Bengals
been
have
the best.
stopped Derrick Henry to like
Yeah.
40 yards on 17 carries, Nick Chubb to 34 yards on 14 carries. It's crazy how like Myles Garrett himself in the past became this one-man wrecking machine against the Bengals, and the Browns got a taste of that exact medicine with DJ Reader because he single-handedly shut down the identity of the Cleveland Browns. It was insane to
crazy.
watch.
Yeah,
and
he
Logan
was-
Wilson, John. Logan Wilson had like 37 tackles on his own.
Yeah. It
It's
helps
crazy.
when you have that behemoth in front of you just taking out those blocks and just having
Yeah.
the ability to make those plays.
And those chunky menisci. What is the word? Yes.
What are you talking about?
The
That would
things in
help.
his knees. They're so
The
big and
plural
chunky.
of meniscus.
So you're saying that
Yes.
and you've seen them, because most of us have not seen his meniscuses.
I have seen the outer shell of
So
his
he has
meniscus.
big knees. You're saying he has a man with big knees.
Beautiful and big.
Huge needs.
And he's, by the way,
Big knees, I know you're the one.
he is one of those people who's trying to steal our HR department. I have seen pictures, and it's not good. I'm very worried that we're not going to get HR back. Having too much fun.
Yeah, Bridget has made good friends with the Cincinnati Bengals team, and it has not translated to bringing any of them on the show, which is fine, but it hasn't.
Yeah, John.
Sounds like she's not good enough friends, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Or we're
John.
not good enough friends, John.
John, can you give us a CTB evaluation, baby? And I don't know what that means. First of all, let me say something else. Why are people giving us so much money? This is
Because
kind
they
of
love
odd.
the show. Because
So we
they
have
love the show, because we speak the
Ferocho
truth. We speak the
Cinco.
truth. We've been covering this team from before they were even good. We've been covering this team from when Andy Dalton was our starting QB, and everybody was supposed to be okay with that. We've been covering this team from when we had losses that you wouldn't believe, devastations in the playoffs, no playoff wins. We've been here. We've been here for you.
So if you can see behind me, I have the Ocho Cinco doll there. And now Ferocho Cinco, who actually is a member, he supports the show right here on YouTube. He did that, gave us $500. And then Will Andrews came and topped it with $1,000. And it's
gosh,
incredible.
I think something is happening to the numbers on your screen. Where the
What
decimals
is it
have
showing
moved.
on their end? That is
Are you-
crazy.
Hold up. Are you making the budget based off of those numbers instead of the actual numbers?
Yeah, John. So here's the thing.
Do
About
you know what a decimal point is?
You know what? We don't
He
have.
never did
Yeah,
really
we
good
don't.
math. Hey, so
Look.
here's the question: what is next on the Bengals agenda,
Next, they have to play, John, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
and when is that?
That is going to be, John,
Sunday.
On Sunday. Yes.
It's not a primetime game.
No.
It should.
No.
It should
No.
be Brady
Yeah.
versus Burrow, old versus new. Goat,
John-
the old goat versus the new goat.
Yes. And if I were going to guess which one smells more like goat, I would say it is not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looks like
I
he
gotta be
smells-
honest with you.
Yeah.
I imagine that Tom Brady smells pretty nice.
That's
Like
yeah.
Old Spice.
Okay, but when
One of the
things
few nice things left in his life, but
start going gray, I know they just naturally a little bit stinky, just a little bit, and you can't do anything. You can't
That's
change
true,
it.
though. The old man smell. We all have dealt with it. Once you hit 40, things start stinking. Now, here's the real deal, Daddy. Is never underestimate the power of Tom Brady. I know that people have been watching these Brady games and being like, "Oh, he's done, he's finished." Brady's still gonna excite you. He's still gonna surprise you. So if you think the Bengals are they going to the Buccaneers, or the Buccaneers coming to us?
They're coming to us.
So don't you think that the Buccaneers are just going to come off those buses and come into the jungle, and then we're just going to beat them like they're little lambs?
No,
They're not.
no. I think that similar
That ain't going to
to
happen.
look when Jordan played Kobe, and Jordan was, he was very old. He was on
But
the
Jordan was
Wizards.
still better than Kobe.
No,
Yeah.
no way, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about when he was on the Wizards. He was like 40
on the
years
Wizards.
old.
No,
Yeah.
no, forget it.
My
I thought you
point
said
is,
the
my
first
point
time.
is, it's not even about the ego thing. It's more like just an appreciation for the game type of thing, where it's like, oh, this is my chance to leave an impression on this young man, who I don't know, John, if Tom Brady said anything about Burrow, but let's be realistic. It's not about their play styles. It's not about anything. But the guy who has the intangibles and the ability to just precisely cut you, precisely move the ball down the field when you need it most, there's nobody, I don't think. I don't think Josh Allen. I don't even think Patrick Mahomes. None of these guys resemble Tom Brady in that regard like Joe Burrow. And I think Tom Brady is smart enough to know that. John.
Well, I would add, why don't we add a little bit of special sauce to your little veggie burger there, which is,
Yeah.
I would say that there is no quarterback who has the X factor. The X factor, X here represents the unknown. He has the unknown factor of leadership and charisma. like that Tom Brady, epitomized like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he's like the queen bee. He brings the other bees to him and he makes them work hard. And Tom Brady had that before him. But my point is, who's going to win?
Well, first of all, John, where is the game going to be? Because I'm reading that it is going to be in Tampa now.
Yeah, we've been.
Were you assuming that was incorrect?
Mixed reports.
I said Cincinnati. I just assumed.
No, it's a Tampa.
It's in Tampa. Okay.
It's a Tampa Bay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, John, let's just talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I don't know
Let's talk about the Buccaneers.
what kind of what's going on with them, because look, they're in a very bad division, right? Yeah. They have all the opportunities in the world. They're 2 years removed from a championship. Not only a championship, but John, they had a very complete team that year, right? And then last year they were a disappointment in the playoffs. I think they fell behind a lot early, to the 49ers, and they almost came back, right? I don't know. So the Rams. The Rams. Yeah, it's the Rams. Yeah, but the point is that they were a very, very good team, and then what happened this year?
You know what? When you were complaining about Zach Taylor and his play calling because his skull did not develop yet until October, you were telling me about how Joe Burrow should kind of take the reins and just do it all himself. Well, that's really what Tom Brady has been doing this year. There are reports that he is doing install meetings or like just final weekly meetings with the offense like the night before games, and then only the players know about this, and then the coaching staff finds out in the middle of the games, and they just have to go with the flow, which is why the offense has been anemic and inept and inconsistent, and it doesn't look like it's fun for anybody. So Brady has taken on so much responsibility for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because he doesn't trust this Buccaneers coaching staff, which is the first year without Bruce Arians, but whatever the reason may be, he looks like the Tom Brady that left New England before he came to Tampa Bay, and it just doesn't look any resemblance of it.
Wait, John, what happened to Byron Leftwich?
He's still there, and I don't think he's a bad offensive coordinator, but for whatever reason, they're not in sync.
So that's
But you don't want to be the team where it all comes together and they become in sync. You remember, what was it, the Jets that we played last year? All of a sudden they stepped it up when they played the Cincinnati Bengals. That happens in football.
Yeah,
these are professionals.
Yeah, but I mean, John, what is this Gazelle's whipping that they're talking about here? Sleeping with the whipping. I don't understand.
I don't think the son of Trent Irwin wants to face anybody who gets whipped by a gazelle or has anything to involve.
Steve Irwin, son of Steve Irwin.
Hold on. I got to know all the details about this. I have not heard about this.
I think, John, there were pictures that emerged of Giselle with the animal taekwondo instructor.
With an instructor. Okay.
Tai Chi.
Yeah. It's a very ancient art from China.
Yes.
And when you practice Tai Chi, it increases your chi. So she was increasing her chi.
She was increasing her chi.
Okay.
Apparently.
The gazelle has a name? Like, is it named Gazelle?
John, you know what? I need you to be serious for this podcast.
I am serious. I don't want to see a gazelle getting whipped.
No, hold on. Wait. Now,
lions do enough damage to that population.
Okay, now you took me to the Tai Chi and then you left me there. What happened next? Go ahead.
See, we're just like the Bucs, where you have too many voices in the kitchen and no one knows what I had.
Okay, so Giselle in the bedroom, Tai Chi instructor.
Oh, Tom Brady's wife, ex-wife. That makes sense.
What then? What?
Yeah. Well, I think that this was in his head. Maybe I think that this has kind of thrown him off.
Head?
I mean, I have heard, John. I have heard. Now, obviously, not at the level of something like this. But I have heard, John, that divorce can be a distraction. And Tom Brady had to go through one the middle of the year. Okay. So here's the thing. I like Tom Brady. I respect him. You know why, John?
How could you not?
Because wherever he played with probably like 10 different rosters in New England and another 1 or 2 in Tampa Bay. I mean, there's so much turnover in rosters in the NFL, and this guy was there 20 years, but I mean, every roster, with a few exceptions, with a few kind of crazy scenarios, almost every important player loved Tom Brady. And that tells you something. That guy's a great teammate. He's a great leader, and his work ethic, inspires other people.
Right.
So I'm rooting for Tom Brady. I'm just hoping he doesn't figure it out this week.
Tom Brady?
I'm hoping this week he doesn't figure it out. Yeah,
so too.
John.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I don't know if any teammate or team or coach loved Tom Brady more than the mother of his first child, but he still left her for a gazelle. So,
Yeah. John.
It's really sad what happened to Tom and Gazelle. But here's the thing. Tom Brady is not people are overestimating the psychological element in Tom Brady's failures. I want to go back to what John was saying, which is that the problems of the Buccaneers are the problems of the Buccaneers. They are not the problems of Tom Brady. You've got
Well, hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's remember that they supposedly, John, Tom Brady wanted the coaching change. I don't know. I mean, this isn't substantial.
he wanted to control the Miami Dolphins.
No, I know. But he also supposedly, before that, he didn't want to continue with Bruce Arians. And it's partly because he wanted that more control over the offense, right? So, I mean,
Maybe,
it's partly his fault.
It's honestly, Tom Brady is not the factor here, okay? Let me just finish my thought, okay? Basically, if you want to look at the Bengals and how they performed this year, there are three factors that determine whether they struggle or whether it's a pretty easy win. Number one factor, how is that other team's defensive line? How are they when it comes to rushing the quarterback, putting pressure on the quarterback? If they are very good, we have a hard time. Okay, that's the number one factor.
Well, they don't have a TJ Watt. They don't have a Myles Garrett.
They don't have those Myles Garrett. So that's in our favor, right? Number two, the number two factor, who on the Bengals is healthy? If DJ Reader and Jamar Chase are both healthy, then you're in really good shape. Because those are basically like, you got the heart and you got the liver. That's the heart and the liver of our team are those two players. And so there you go. So that's factor.
Okay, hold on. Who's the liver? Is DJ Reader, because you're saying he's like a fatty liver? I don't understand.
Okay.
Who's the liver?
There are basically three centers to the human body.
Right.
Three chi centers. Okay. Brain, liver, heart, and liver.
Okay.
And I'm saying if Burrow is the brain, Chase is the liver, and Reader is Chase is the heart, and Reader is the liver. But my point is that when they're healthy, and we haven't had both of them healthy for a lot of games, and now we're going into it with another game like that. The number three factor, and this is the final one, is the run game. When the Bengals have a good run game, we always win. And Burrow has said that. It's not you don't believe me? Quote Burrow. When Pirine, Mixon can run yards, and that has a lot to do with the offensive line, mind you. When they can do well and get you the yards and put the pressure off Burrow can do spectacularly, and there you go. And so that, to me, that's the number one and two we know are fine. But number three, is the run game ready for the Buccaneers? Is the run game of the Cincinnati Bengals, and John, I'm looking to you to answer this question. Is the run game, are Pirine and Mixon going to be as good this coming Sunday as they have been in the past? John,
I don't see why not. I feel like this offensive line, like that's the strength in them right now. Like they are working really well in sync with any concept that they have in the run game, and I feel like both Pirine and Mixon are comfortable with what they're being asked to do. I think the rotation with them was pretty good this past week. I don't know if that's going to change just because Mixon is now 2 games back off of his rest, but I feel like they've established a good rapport with their blockers, and I feel like the rotation is fine now. And they're both running really hard, so I'm fine with where things are at.
And so if you put those three together, and here ends my hojoscope, then you have New Goat sitting on top of the mountain, looking down on the old, tired, stinky goat. Yeah.
So that is your prediction.
That's my hojoscope. Do you want to score?
Sure.
21-17. Do you want to play best player of the game?
Why not?
Jamar Chase.
Okay. Well, John, let us. What are the key matchups if we haven't talked about them? Anything we're forgetting for the fans who want to know about this game? Because no one's really seen the Bucs this year.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase versus Denzel Ward was a big matchup this past week, but Denzel Ward is not as good of a cornerback as Jamel Dean is for the Bucs. Dean really likes to press. That's typically common in the Buccaneers scheme, so Chase will have to create quick separation, release off the line pretty well if he's going to win that matchup as much as he did against Denzel Ward this past week. Alex Kappa is playing Tampa Bay for the first time since he left the Bucs last year, and he's going to meet Vita Vea, who's probably the second best nose tackle in the league behind DJ Reader. He's probably an even better pass rusher, so that is a guy who can push the pocket, and Cap will definitely be tested. Other than that, I think just Brady versus the Bengals pass rush, whatever that is. Right now, we don't know if Trey Hendrickson's going to play. He's probably not going to play, but it's going to need a platoon effort between Joseph Asai and Cam Sample to kind of compensate for that loss. And Brady, when he has time, even at this point in his career, he can still be decent. So it needs to be watched.
Okay. All right. So what was your official prediction, John?
I don't know, because the Bucs are not a good football team right now, but the Bengals have won a lot lately, and there's no reason to think why it's going to stop now, even when you have the history and the aura of Tom Brady. Yeah, I don't really see it. So I think the Bengals should have the upper hand here, so I'm going to guess Tampa wins 21-17.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Okay. So this is a tough one for me to predict, honestly. I look at the direction of these two teams in their opposite directions. But it is in Tampa. And John, I don't know if you've seen, but they fire off cannons. At any moment, they can fire off a cannon. And you can imagine you're in this stadium, you're trying to play a football game, and then they're shooting these cannons at you.
Yeah,
The moments
really
are pretty
distracting.
selective, actually. You know,
Yeah, but I mean,
It's really distracting.
it's very distracting. I mean, it's not at the level of something like, but it has its own, it works in its own way. And I don't know if the Bengals can be prepared for that, John.
talk about cannons. I mean,
John, you've made a lot of inappropriate jokes on this show.
But good.
it's been 6 years. I feel like I've earned it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And HR isn't here.
that's true.
Precisely.
So anyways, what you have, John, is you have this Tampa Bay team that is a wounded animal that is going to look to
Like a
there is still,
gazelle.
like a gazelle. And John, they are right in the tick of winning the NFC South, right? They could, So I think that the Bengals, I don't know, I just see them getting smacked upside the face this game. And I see the final score being 28-14 Cincinnati, which is really, which is crazy.
So Cincinnati's winning by 14 points, but
Right.
smacked in the face.
Smacked
Maybe an
right in the
explanation
face.
is in order that you.
Sure, I think so. Do you have one?
No, but you said they were going to be smacked in the face.
Right.
How can he
Right.
explain what he's confused about? So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it like this, right? When you do something very bold, very rude, right? You say a very, let's say, inappropriate comment,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you saw a scene like this,
Yeah.
you can't control yourself. You can't control your mouth, and you say something inappropriate.
Yeah.
I feel like you get smacked in the face, and I feel the Bengals are going to be very rude in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They're going to go in there
Yeah.
and they're going to embarrass
Be bad guests.
an old senior goat, a smelly goat, gray.
They're going to deflate his balls.
Right. And I think here's the thing. I think the goat is being held together by all this magical things, right? The TB12 magic. And I think it's all going to come apart and it's going to be like, that was rude. Where did that come from? And they'll
Smacked in
get
the
smacked. They get smacked in the face. The fans will not like it. The locals will not like it.
No, that's not.
Giselle
that's
won't
not,
like
That's
it.
not how you do it in Tampa Bay.
I
Giselle
feel like
might
Giselle.
it now. I
Well,
don't
she
know.
might. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not. By the way, boys and girls, that is not the proper way to practice Tai Chi.
No.
I
it is
know. I
not.
have a black belt in Tai Chi.
Yeah, I feel like we covered everything. I think that was actually probably our most elaborate preview ever.
Yeah, we really
is
got
kinda
into the
crazy.
knit and the grit.
Yes, and the Cincinnati Bengals are we will have to find out who eventually beats the Bengals. Might just be next year. We'll see. But John, if that is all
Can they
that you
beat
have,
the Bills? That's the real question.
yeah, well, yes, they can. But we'll save that for later. unless you have anything else. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, and go to patreon.com/DHSports, where you can patronize us, or you can drop a super chat, money in the super chat. I love the super chats.
What should
You
they
can
put in
become
the
a member of
comments?
YouTube.
What should they make a comment about?
Put in the comments how much you want to put in your Patreon account. We'll see you next time. So long.
No. Ignore what he said. Hold on. We need a good comment. Wait, is the show over or is the song just end?
One
I
of
feel like-
them.